Hi everyone, I'm Gautam aka the Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and in this video we're going to be looking at reasons as to why you may be not manifesting your SP. Now before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching, so I offer hourly, monthly, email and DM coaching. The link will be in the description down below for an FAQ page where you guys will have all the answers you need, and thereafter you guys can reach out to me via Instagram or email for coaching prices and to figure out what plan may be suitable for you. I also have a Facebook group where I upload resources from time to time, and as well as you guys can ask me questions anonymously. It's a great way to keep in touch with me and also to interact with the community. I also have a mailing list where I post articles from time to time, as well as my latest offers for coaching. And lastly, I also have a Manifest Your SP course. This is for people who don't have the time to take one-on-one coaching, and who want to do this by yourself. And really, this is a great investment if you are someone who needs the tools and needs the guides. I have broken everything down to its finest details, and this will be updated over time as well, which if you purchase it now, you will have access to those updates for free as well. Again, all the link will be in the description down below, guys, so be sure to check it out. And without further ado, let's get to it. So this was a video request from one of you guys, and I thought this was a great topic, and I really want to thank you guys for the suggestions there. I really want to talk about this, and some of these things isn't really something that's like truly groundbreaking per se, right? And that's the thing. Like, as I was thinking about this topic, I feel like people do know this to an extent. Like, you like somewhere you do know why you may be not manifesting your SP, and ultimately, if you ask me as a coach, like it ultimately comes down to having that discipline, and like to maintain that consistency in your routines, and maintaining a favorable mental diet, and like sticking to your routines, whatever that may be, and really like having that faith and trust in the process, basically, right? Faith and trust in the unseen, right? And using your imagination and so on, right? But that said, I just wanted to go in and really talk about a few things in detail when it comes to why you may be not getting your manifestations, especially with regards to SP. Now the first one, and probably the most obvious one, is checking 3D, right? Let's face it, like if I had a dime for every time like one of my clients told me like, hey, I know you said not to, but I called him anyway, I called her anyway, right? It's actually him more than her, but just for equality purposes. But really, right? Like, I can't, like, I swear, like every time when I see this, I'm like, it's not like it doesn't make me like, oh boy, or anything like that, because I've seen this like a lot, and I do understand like somewhere this is part and parcel of the process. So my clients will always be like, please don't be mad at me or anything like that. I rarely am, because I understand somewhere that this is like almost like something, almost like a rite of passage that like some of my clients have to go through in order to understand why they shouldn't do it, right? So checking 3D that way, right? Like trying to call your SP, or checking like third parties, Instagram accounts, Facebook, and like trying to like see what SP is up to and why they're not contacting you, and so on and so forth. The problem with this is very simple, right? One, your 3D is still conforming, right? There are movements that are going behind your scene that you may not be aware of, right? Just because they are posting happy pictures with their their 3P, for example, right, doesn't mean that they are actually happy with that person. You don't know what's going on in your SP's mind, right? And 3D always shows everything that's a result of past thoughts, assumptions and beliefs, right? And you just have to understand that, and you have to know that the only present is in my imagination, and if I stick to that, that has to be pushed out, right? I always tell this to my clients, right? You can't expect your body to become healthy the moment you start eating healthy, right? You have to do it consistently over a period of time to see those changes, right? If I'm saying like I'm eating fruits, right, for a day or two, and then I'm like, oh, I don't see any changes, this doesn't work, okay. No, that's not how it works, guys, right? Give it time. Give it time. Stop checking the 3D. Trust the process. Look within. Have an inner conversation with your SP, and have that self discipline, right? Have that self discipline not to check when your demons come in the form of like intrusive thoughts, and like what ifs and buts and all that kind of stuff, right? You hold yourself, you anchor yourself down in like your imaginal scenes and say, no, whatever that may be happening is completely irrelevant to my manifestation, because I know that this person is already my boyfriend or husband or wife or girlfriend, right? Like, and anchor yourself in it, anchor yourself in that, right? And you see it. If you can't visualize it, right, have an inner conversation. If you can't have an inner conversation, right, script it down and read it every single day, right? I spoke about in one of my videos the letter technique, right? You can do that. So it's really like all about self-discipline at that point. How badly do you want your desires, right? You can be stuck here for years if you don't have that self-discipline, and believe me, I've seen that before, right? In cases where some people are so like stuck in the process of like reacting and coming back, and like this is why people always have that kind of like hot and cold behavior from their SP, and I'll make a video about that separately as well. But ultimately it kind of boils down to checking your 3D, reacting, and then doing your routine for a couple of days, and then reacting again. Of course you're going to get hot and cold, right? And if you want that hot, right, you just have to stick to your routines, don't check 3D, and keep going, right? So the first thing is you may be checking the 3D basically, right? So that's one thing I feel like you shouldn't be doing. It's best for everyone. You're not slipping back into the old story. You're just consistently sticking to your new story. You're not shaken by anything, so stop checking 3D and focus on your imaginal scenes and focus on your desire. And yeah, so that's that. So the second thing is people don't maintain a favorable mental diet, right? So I often talk about having mental arguments with your SP. And when it comes to mental diet, I always talk about the 4 things that you should always maintain, right? How you see yourself, which is essentially self-concept with regards to SP, how you view SP, how you think they view you, and how you view your overall relationship dynamic, right? All those things, right? I feel like it must be favorable for you, right? You have to maintain a favorable mental diet. You can't be thinking about the old things that they did, or things that you did, and beating yourself up for it, right? Think about the good things. Think about all the lovely times you had with your SP. If this SP is like if you had a relationship with this SP, if it's someone new, think about reasons as to why they will like you, why they will cherish you, why they will love you, and dwell in those kinds of thoughts rather than why they may not like you, or why this may not happen, right? Entertain favorable thoughts as much as you can, even if it looks like it's too good to be true, right? So that's definitely one thing that I'll ask you guys to dwell on, is dwell on favorable things. Be aware of your thoughts and maintain a favorable mental diet as much as you can, right? So the third thing that I see, as to reasons as to why you guys may not be manifesting your SP, is you guys give too much importance to circumstances. And this is another phrase that if I got a dime for it, I'd be a billionaire by right now, right? And that is, I know circumstances don't matter, or I know coaches say circumstances don't matter, but, and then they go on and and then they say a huge thing about their circumstance, right? Here's the thing: if I say circumstances don't matter, then it doesn't matter, period, end of story, right? But somewhere people find the need to strengthen and to justify their circumstances, and almost like challenge people or coaches who say otherwise, right? Hey, you say circumstances don't matter, right? Then what about this circumstance, right? Do you think then I can manifest? Like it comes with that kind of energy, and I've seen this like time and time and again. Like even today I had this comment from one of my followers, like something to do with like, okay, I know circumstances don't matter, but what about a person? I can't remember the exact term, the medical term for it, but she mentioned it, and I looked it up, and basically it was being unable to move your body, basically, right? Like sections of your body, you can't move it. And I said, well, imagine the person to be completely healthy, and who's able to move their body, and like who can like do all the things that you'd like them to do in a very healthy way. Like view them as being completely healthy. Why hold on to that impression of that person? Why hold on to that image of that person? And this is how Neville always says, like, how you can help someone. You don't have to go and do anything in the 3D to help them out. You can just imagine like them being in a healthy way, right? And I'll cover like how to improve your health in another video as well, but this is one way you can do it, right? And really, like, circumstances don't matter, right, unless you believe that that thing is preventing you from doing so, right? For SP, for example, everyone always talks about, oh, mine is a long distance, or if it's not long distance, if they're in the same country, or mine is a cross country, right? If they are very nearby, or they have a third party, if they don't have a third party, oh, my parents are not agreeing, right? Like, it's like, oh, we are from different like backgrounds, her parents are saying no, my parents are saying no, what should I do, all that kind of things. Like, if you are going to find reasons as to why this is not going to work, trust me, you can find a billion reasons as to why. But the same also applies for the opposite, right? If you are trying to find reasons as to why this will work, you'll also find a billion reasons as to why it will work, right? As the conscious creator of your reality, you have the responsibility to think favorably and to really focus on the billion reasons why it would work rather than why it won't work, right? And you have the sole responsibility right there. So it's all about you and your thoughts more than anything else here, right? So think favorably, right? Think about the reasons as to why this will work out, and really focus on that. Regardless of how circumstances may be right now, know that it's irrelevant to your manifestation, because again, there exists a reality where you have gone through everything that you have gone through right now, and you still managed to manifest it. There are infinite parallel realities, right? So there are infinite number of ways you can actually receive your desire as well. So that's why I always say, like, there's always a reality where you have gone through these exact set of circumstances and you still manage to get to your desire. So whatever may have happened, right, it's okay, right? Like, keep going and you will definitely manifest your desire, because your circumstances are irrelevant to your manifestation. Remember that, right? So every time when your ego mind tries to bring up your circumstances, simply tell yourself that's irrelevant, right? And the other thing that I would say, this is more specific person related, is SP really said like no, SP said no to me, or SP said something that really hurts me, and so on and so forth, right? This is one reason I feel like a lot of people aren't manifesting their SP back, is really because they give too much importance to what their SP said to them in the past, right? Or SP really said, this is over, this is done, we will never be together again, and then how will this happen, and so on and so forth, right? Don't give importance to what SP says. Simple as that, right? Don't give importance to what SP always comes up with, because literally they are just a reflection of you, what's going on within you. If you probe these people like just a little bit, like, you will understand that they had thoughts that maybe SP didn't want them, or maybe this relationship isn't going to work, and that's why SP said whatever that they did. So it's not SP at any point who's responsible for whatever they said. It's really your thoughts deep down, right? Regardless of whether you want to admit it or not, it's really all about your thoughts, right? So ignore literally what SP said. Don't take into consideration whatever that they said when you are manifesting them, right? Simply see it from a very objective standpoint. Take a step back, remove the emotion from the equation, and see it from a very objective manner, and literally tell yourself, okay, whatever that I'm actually seeing, or that I saw in the past, was a result of past thoughts, and my thoughts wasn't exactly favorable, and that's why SP said whatever that they did. But when I shift my focus onto the favorable things, and when I am thinking favorably, and as I'm affirming, as I'm embodying the new story with regards to SP, they're going to reflect that back to me. So all is good, right? So my thoughts are irrelevant, in the sense that my part, whatever that I'm seeing is irrelevant to my manifestation with regards to SP. So my past thoughts, whatever I thought about them is literally irrelevant now that I'm changing it and embodying the new story, basically. So you just have to come at it from that perspective. And so these are things that I feel that could be hindering you. Another reason that I often see is being swayed by what people see on social media, and just getting confused with what you should be doing, right? And this is something that I find the community is often stuck on. So what I mean is maybe binge watching YouTube videos, getting confused between the information from what maybe one coach may be saying, and and comparing it with like another coach, or seeing an Instagram post or something that really like says otherwise, and they start to panic and they change a lot of routines in the process, right? So to put it simply, it's basically getting confused by oversaturation of content consumption basically. And for this is very simple, right? Stick to Neville, right? Like he's the OG. He did it. Like most coaches who are practicing law of assumption got it through like Neville, right? Including myself. So stick to Neville. Stick to whatever that he said, and and only listen to maybe 2 to 3 coaches who you resonate with completely, and just leave it there, right? And if you're going to consume content, make sure it's only from these group of people, because then you are narrowing it down. Because here's the thing about law of assumption is, whatever you assume becomes your truth, right? So if you are getting confused over everything, and you are trying different techniques and everything, and if you're not being consistent with any of those, you're going to get a lot of mixed results. So just stick to one. Know that any technique that you do is going to be successful because you are believing that it is going to be successful. Simple as that, right? So and I'm saying this because a lot of people tend to get stuck in the whole idea of, am I doing this right? And then that's why the whole binge watching happens. And there's another reason, and I'll get to it as well. But this is one of the reasons as to why people binge watch. And I feel like if you can just stick to a few people, it's going to do you a lot of favors. It's really not going to contradict a lot of the information, and you are just sticking to your favorable routines, and what works, and you're just simplifying your life basically, right? By sticking to a few people, and primarily relying more on like what Neville had to say about a lot of these things. And I know his lectures aren't like appealing to everyone. I love his 1940s like radio voice and stuff, because I'm a huge lover of vintage things, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. So like that's why you may want to like listen to another coach who breaks it down in their own way and everything, and you may just resonate with their energy, and that's completely cool. But just stick to a few people, maybe like 2 to 3 max, right? Yeah, so another reason why people tend to binge watch is they feel really good when they do so. Because I feel that somewhere, and this is something that I've experienced too, is when you're not watching YouTube videos or something like that, it's like you feel that void, and like you feel that like kind of like panic and that kind of anxiety just rush in. And like watching YouTube videos is somehow like a way to like kind of like put those things on hold basically, right? And what this does is to put you in a cycle of like binge watching, or even less like scrolling through infinite posts on Instagram and so on, right? And here's the thing, like let those things come through, right? Like you don't have to feel those things, just let it pass by, and ask yourself, why is it coming up? Because oftentimes when something is coming up, it's for you to like recognize it and address it ASAP, and to release it away from your body. You're not going to hold on to those things by letting it rise to the surface and by addressing it. Rather, you are actually addressing it to release those things. So the sooner you do it, like the better, like literally. So ideally speaking, you want to release those things as much as you can, and let those things come by, let those unfavorable emotions come by, and use your affirmations, use your inner conversations with SP to to really like neutralize those things, and release them. You can take like deep breaths in and out, through your nose and everything, like to really kind of just release those thoughts, right? Meditate, and those kinds of things will really really help you. So this is something that I feel like could be hindering people, because you are continuously like consuming content, but you're not applying everything. Like knowing is one thing, applying it is a whole another thing. Like that's one thing with some of my clients, is they know what to do. Like I'm not teaching them sometimes anything new, but what I am doing is making them apply things in a simplified, consistent way that is guaranteed to get what they desire, right? That's the thing that I'm doing for them. And that is like sometimes it's very hard for people to do, because they are kind of like stuck in their own routines, and that's where like like coaching sometimes comes for them, right? So these are things that I feel like people should watch out for. And another thing that I often see is is really like discussing it with their friends or family who may be not so aware about manifesting or anything. and going off of their advice in the middle of their routine or something like that, right? So this is something that I would advise you guys like not to do to an extent, because like, okay, if you want to talk to someone, like that's completely fine, but like if they are giving advice, like okay, go and call them or go and talk to them and stuff like that, as a conscious manifester you have to like take a step back and think, okay, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right way to go about this, right? So just that. And another thing that I often see is people get caught up in their milestones or seeing signs. So here's what I mean. See your SP, you're manifesting your SP, and they text you, right? You see that and you're like, you just get so caught up in that, you just completely abandon your routines and everything, and you just get obsessed with the 3D, and you just go back to your old story. When you're abandoning your routine, especially for the newcomers, they are essentially like abandoning the new story, right? Because the routines are what are what's like keeping them in the new story, on the new state of mind basically. So let's say they receive a text from the SP and then they completely just abandon everything. Oh, it worked. Okay, great. I'm going to go, just text the SP and act like everything is normal. And then SP ghosts them or something, and then they are like, okay, where did I go wrong? You abandoned your routine. You abandoned the new story, right? So this is something that you need to like really look into and really, just watch out for, right? Like you really need to be aware. If it's not your end desire, it's simply the middle. So keep going, right? Regardless of whatever milestone that you may see. And that brings me to the next one that I was mentioning is signs, right? Like birds before landing, right? Hey, I saw my SP's name on the signboard, or hey, I saw 333. Like, what do you think, coach? This is something that I see so much, and yeah, it's really funny because like I receive it like so much. Like you guys will think like, okay, it's maybe like one or two people. Like it's so funny, like for me, because I receive it on a daily basis at times, and I say, okay, is this your end desire? And they're like, no, not really. Then like keep going, right? Like don't stop with your routines and everything. Don't get hung up on your signs, as to what it may mean and anything like that. I keep it very simple. With law of assumption, things mean what you make them mean. If you feel 333, seeing 333, it means like, okay, you have already manifested your SP, great, right? If you make it mean something other than that, or it means like it's sooner, it's coming soon, or anything like that, probably like it's better to change it to it's already here, because even soon implies separation, as what Neville would say, right? So yeah, if you see their name, so what? Like if you get hung up on signs, my point is this, like if you get hung up on signs, that's all you're going to receive, right? Because that's what you're focusing on, and we attract what we focus on. And I am saying, focus on the joyful union with you and your SP, and that's exactly what you're going to attract, right? So that's really important, guys. So just make sure that all of these things are like something that you're not doing, and your SP has to conform, and you will have to manifest your desire, which is the joyful union with your SP, I assume, right? It has to manifest, right? It has to. So like don't think otherwise. Don't be thinking like how or what ifs. And that's another thing too, like thinking when, thinking how. And I feel like that's also kind of like related to checking the 3D. Don't question all of those things. Don't bother micromanaging all those things, right? Your higher self knows ways and means which you know not of, right? Like I always say, if you are the one navigating the maze of life, your higher self is literally the one who's looking at it from above, right? Your higher self is your genie basically, right? Let your genie figure it all out. Like you just go by your life, know that your SP is already yours, and you just go by your life, right? Think about how Neville manifested his SP while he was married to a lady, right? She was out of town, she had to come to New York, she stole something, she got caught, and all that kind of like stuff happened, right? And all the time, like Neville was just assuming that him and his SP was in the same room. She was in another bed, and he just assumed that, she's my wife, right? Simple as that. Like make your life simple. Don't make it hard for yourself. Then it really must be, right? Remember, you create the rules for your life, and so set favorable ones for yourself, and keep going, right? Your desires have to manifest, right? Guys, we have come to this end of this video. If this video resonated with you, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below based on what you guys think. Turn on the bell notification so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. Be sure to subscribe because that goes a long way in supporting the channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.